Yeah, everybody heard the old stories that's in the silver, that it's the investment of the century. It's the investment of all time. It's the best investment of all time. I don't know. I could say it's been one of going to be definitely one of the top investments for this decade. Doesn't seem like it right now because everybody's bored with it. It's a matter of fact. It's been sitting for flat for a pretty long time now. But I got a lot of confidence in it. It's usually when it's going up really high, I get nervous. Right now, I don't care what I tell people, as far as these people that insist that right now, in other words, people invested in silver, they look like they're stupid. They do. A lot of them do, unless you bought it some years ago. But if you bought it back when it was 40, you look like you're stupid right now because it's going down. That's a sizable chunk down, but I don't think you got a long wait before it's going to hit some record highs. And the old principle was back in the day, when people used to buy and hold stocks, buy and hold, buy and hold. And it's always been shown that if you got out of the market for maybe 10 days, a certain 10 days over a period of 5 years, there was these really big up days. If you missed those 10 days, guess what? You lost out. That's where most of the gains came. And that happens with the stock markets, but I think that's going to very much happen with the metals markets. We're going to have some big gains, and a lot of times it could be influenced by the FOMC meetings. That's where things can change very fast. Right now, if some person came up to me and they had, $1 million invested in bonds or something, I wouldn't be afraid to tell them to put 80% of it into silver and 20% of it into gold right now. Might go down. They might cuss me out. I should, just with the intention of holding it in there for about a year or two. Do what the hell you want after that. But I wouldn't be afraid to tell anybody to buy a lot of silver right now. Might go down a little bit more. Might get below that 26. Gold might go down at 1,500. Whatever. It's not a guarantee, though. It could be sitting flat for just an extra long period of time and then start taking off. Like I said, the FOMC meetings are what's going to move the stocks, move the gold, move the silver, but really move the gold and silver. I think the stocks are being propped up. And, that's always the question. Is the Fed buying the Dow at the close? You'd have to say, yeah, they always do this, don't they? I mean, you got that plunge protection team that was started back during the Reagan administration. They're always doing this. They've been doing this. They're not worried about the metals going down. So I guess you can call that a conspiracy. But, most people aren't invested in the metals. They're invested in stocks. So I think the Fed is doing that type of stuff. Now, one thing that really hints at what's coming up. If you take the 15 fastest growing industries in the United States, you know what? If you put the number one category out of the 15 fastest growing industries in the United States where the wages of the laborers are going up, as in that's like using that economic indicator where the wages are going up, the people working in that field, it's mining, oil, and natural gas. Mining leading it. Yeah, I know the miners look like crap. Maybe the profits are still up there. Some of the mines closed down, like the smaller mines, but the profits are still up there. But I think all the smart money is in the mining, for the precious metals. The smart money is. The dumb money, the middle class, they're not in it yet. They're going to get in it when it's really high. This is what always happens. But I don't know, whatever you could say. I mean, you can warn them all you want, but, the way it goes is everybody jumps on one side of the ship anyway. It ruins it. It's like what you're doing is, everybody in the world isn't going to get wealthy off of silver. It's the few that are smart enough to stick it out. That's what's going on. Now, right now, one industry that looks like garbage in the United States, and it's in the energy sector, is coal. And a lot of that is due to what Obama is doing, too, with the EPA, shutting down coal mines left and right. So what does that tell you? I think the cost, in my basic common sense mind, that means the cost of energy is going to go up. You know, I mean, wind energy doesn't cut it. You know, it doesn't. It doesn't cut. It's not enough. Wind energy might be the largest slice of renewable energy as far as what produces energy from renewable sources. But renewable sources energy is a very, very tiny portion of what comes out and goes into the energy that's needed by the nation. So it's nothing really. So when they're taking out coal, what tells me is that oil and natural gas is going to come on a lot. Now, T. Boone Pickens, he's major into natural gas, but that guy, he's got a scam too. Every state that guy owns natural gas where they give it to the cars, they sell its compressed natural gas to the cars. It's a hell of a lot higher. It's cheaper than the regular gasoline, but any place he sticks his hand in there, he must be getting some kind of cut. You know, I notice this with anybody who's wealthy. They act like they're saving the world, but they're all out for them number one, every single one of them. But these industries are going to be taking off and the smart money's in there. Now, also Goldman Sachs, when they're recommending stocks, now all these stocks are down since they recommended them. It's almost like you got to do the opposite, but they're right. They're right. Goldman Sachs is correct on this, and they're not bullshitting anybody. They mainly recommend it in the oil industry, drilling industry, anywhere around there to mix the oil platforms, and the mining. So metals and precious metals are going up. That's just how it is. Now, another thing that's coming up, and this is going to affect the disposable income of people, and this is why I think more QE is going to have to come into play. He's not going to be able to fight this. Right now, we got a drought in the United States. It's about on par with the 1988 drought. It almost reminds me of the Dust Bowl in the 30s, but not that bad. But when you have a drought like that, what's going on is you'll see agricultural prices up a great deal, like corn and soybeans and things like that. And that's going to affect the disposable income of people, because especially people who spend more percentage of their income on food. So you might say it's inflation or whatever. It's not really inflation. It's just the fact that the food is more scarce because of the weather. And this weather that's happened in the United States is extremely severe. So it's actually really affected the corn products and the soybean products, and the prices are way up. That's one reason you're seeing the overall commodity index jump quite a bit. Like in some areas, the commodities are down, but in certain agricultural areas, the commodities are up. And this is due to the drought. Now, that spells to me a major problem with the overall economy, too. It's like you could stimulate the economy maybe not just through the federal policies, but say the price of oil goes down. That means the price of all kinds of transportation, which affects the price of all the goods, goes down. But if the price of food goes up, that takes it from the average consumer, the middle class and the lower middle class and that type of stuff, on a much greater percentage, because more percentage of their money goes to food. So I think that's going to force the Federal Reserve to act in some ways. There's going to have to be more stimulus or some more easing. Combine that with everything else. The fact that the Europeans aren't going to be able to roll over their bonds, which means resell them when they come to maturity. They can't roll over this debt. So I think there's, right around the corner, we're going to see some explosive upward movement in the metals. Now, crude oil is starting to go up a little bit. It's really bad. I'm invested in this, and I should have not invested into it when it got down to 70s. But I'm not going to bother, because, I don't know, I'm just going to wait forever and see what happens. And but it's going up because of tensions in the Middle East, and this can change overnight. I know it's like when you're sitting around waiting, it doesn't seem like it, but it can change overnight. The tensions in the Middle East are actually now starting to be due again because of new weapons and things that Iran's developed. They can target Israel. They got more accurate weapons, deliver bigger payloads, and they're talking about closing down the Straits of Hormuz. And, they're on the ropes. There's going to be something's going to happen. That's what I think. I don't know this for a fact. I don't think anybody knows it for a fact. Now, the metals are up a little bit today. I know it's still, to me, anything below $45 an ounce for silver is a bad day, so I don't consider this anywhere near what it should be. But as a bright note, this is the commodity index, which is right off of Bloomberg's chart. It's going up, and a lot of this, though, is due to food, though. It's more due to agriculture. It's not due to all the commodities across the board. But some of the commodities have been going up a little bit. But you know what this tells me? When you have the metals down and the copper's down, aluminum's down, zinc's down, that type, everything's down. It's not, they jumped a little bit in the last couple weeks, but they had a really bad month before that. That's telling me the economy stinks across the board. Despite despite all the games they're trying to tell you otherwise. So, I'm just saying it, and you combine this with higher food prices and everything that's coming up due to a drought, they're going to have to do things to stimulate the economy. That's why I think silver is going to start taking off unexpectedly. People right now just don't, they're like bored with it. They're distraught with it. But right now, I could be very easily tell, and I don't really give a damn because, I don't know what percentage I would get out of it. But if somebody had $1 million right now, I think a lot of times it's very irresponsible to tell people to invest too much in gold and silver. But right now, the way things are and the bleak as they are right now, I'd tell them to put the whole damn thing in the freaking gold and silver. I would. Now, they wouldn't give me a percentage off of them. I would just say to do that I would just tell them to do that as a favor. So right now, you're good to go. It's kind of like looks bleak, but it's not. Believe me. Now I want to contrast it with something else, and I don't want to pick on this guy too much. He's from Zero Hedge. Now this was written last year, April 11, 2011. Now, you remember back in April 11, 2011, silver was going up. It was in a 40-something range. And all the commodities were going up. Oil was way the hell up there. Everything was up there, right? All the commodities across the board were up there in April. Here's like the typical predictions. When everything's going up and everything's hitting a record high, everybody predicts it's going to go even worse. And that trend's going to continue, and it's going to continue even faster. Just like people are predicting that silver's going to go to like, $8 or something, or $18 or whatever they're saying. It's like they think the trend is going to continue. Right now, things are low. And like here they talk about, back over a year ago, April 11th, 2011, the commodities were high. He's talking end of the world inflation, 47% inflation in 6 months. And what happened? Right now, everybody's talking about, silver's like going to be staying flat forever. I don't know. I mean, on a daily basis, it seems like it. On a weekly basis, it seems like it. But watch these FOMC meetings. It's almost like the rules that apply to the stock markets way back when, the FOMC meetings is really, like, in other words, if you took away all the FOMC meetings, the stock markets would all be a lot lower. And I think whatever Bernanke's going to say, and he's not God on earth, but he's going to move things upward for the metals one way or the other. Because I just got to add a few things into this, because even Goldman Sachs, trust Goldman Sachs in some ways. I know they're predators, but they're not stupid. They're not going to try to lose all their clients all their money. They are individual predators, but overall, the game is they don't get clients if they don't make most of their clients money. And they want money too. But they can't be giving out crappy advice blatantly left and right. I know they got a tarnished reputation. Yeah, deservedly or whatever. But, when they're telling everybody to get into the oil and energy and mining sectors, what does that tell you about precious metals and things that come out of the earth? And like I stated before, and that was just due to actually having very good information and plans on what goes on in mining, Mining industry is extremely energy intensive. When oil goes up, the cost of mining goes up a great deal. So if oil does go up a lot, your silver's going to have to go up. I know that's something that doesn't have to be because it's controlled upon with the futures markets, but at one point in time, the fundamentals are going to catch up with the futures markets. And number two, there's a basic principle that, say, for instance, if the oil industry has a shortage, and it does seem to be that's going to be coming up because Obama's closing down all the coal mines with the EPA, and that's a major slice where we get energy from. So where's the energy going to come from? Wind turbines? No. It's going to come from oil and natural gas. And as oil goes up, there's a couple other things that seem to go with it. Gold and silver. So this is all going to play out. You see, right now, it used to burn me up that insiders knew when to sell silver, but, the silver pundits and pumper dumpers would be telling everybody to throw all their money into silver when it was at the high. Right now, I think it's pretty much close to the low. I think it might go below the 26. Maybe. I don't know this for a damn fact. I'm not Karnak the magician. But anybody buying silver right now, even if they had no silver and all of a sudden they said, I'm going to dump all my money into silver and gold right now, I'd be envious because I wish I had. Right now I'm waiting for a serious pullback. I have most of my money in silver and gold and platinum, palladium, and all that type of stuff. But I'm waiting for a serious pullback to dump even more into it. But if I was sitting on bonds or something like that, that's what I would do right now. And I'd be a bit envious of somebody that did that because I know they're going to be up more than double. And a little faster than you would think. Not a week. It might even be this year. Silver can hit well over $50 this year. It could. And that has to do with many things. Ben Bernanke can move the price of silver up fast as all hell. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't want to hear this about war with Iran, but that would move silver up. That would move it up because oil is going to jump. Maybe silver might go down the day of the attack. But it's going to move up gold and it's going to move up silver. That war with Iran, if that had started already, we would be seeing an extremely different outlook for the commodities right now. Extremely different. So, I don't know. I think that is coming up, though. So, I don't think it's going to wait till after the election.